everybody. I would like to welcome you to the district building right behind me here. And can anyone tell me what you see that is different about this building than the other buildings around you here? Yes.
The columns.
The columns.
The color.
Yes. Color. Okay. Yes, the architecture is different. The architecture is different because actually this building, along with the old post office building, are one of the two buildings that were here before the Federal Triangle Master Plan was implemented. So that's why this building is an old historic building that was maintained here from 1908 was when it was built. And the architect was Copeman Stewardson from Philadelphia, and we have a sculptor that's very famous for the building, and that is Adolfo Dinesti. And you can see on the upper level here, you have Arts and Enterprises, and these statues are actually 28 statues of them, and they're all representing arts and enterprises of Washington, D.C., such as music and sculpture, commerce, statesmanship, and each statue you can see is holding an element symbolic to what they're representing. For example, the painter is holding a palette of paint, and music is holding a harp. So, and then if you look down in the center of the building, you will see Law and Justice, which is another sculpture by the same sculptor. Excuse me while I pick this up. And on one side you will see a woman holding the scales of justice, and on the other side you will see a woman holding the scrolls of law. And in the center you will see the DC seal, which is actually right here. You can't see it up here, so you can actually look it out around. And tell me what you're looking at here.
That's the DC seal. Looks like George Washington.
It is George Washington standing there. And who is this lovely lady on the right?
Liberty.
She is Justice. And she's holding what?
Constitution.
Yeah, she's
and
holding
a laurel wreath.
Okay, great. And here we see the Capitol in the background, the city skyline on this other side, our eagle, the American eagle, and here is just this Injustice for All down here.
Well, hello everyone. We're standing here in Freedom Plaza on Pennsylvania Avenue in the heart of the District of Columbia. We're between the Capitol, the U.S. Capitol, which is right behind you, and the White House is this direction, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're in the 1400 block. You can see there's a lot of activity going on here. We have theaters, we have other television events going on behind us, and behind me is the Willard Hotel here on the corner, the tall building on the corner. Very historic hotel. There's been a hotel on this spot since 1816. It was first called the City Hotel, but then the Willard brothers came along in the 1860s and they bought the hotel and they refurbished it, and the look that you see now was made in 1902 by Henry Hardenberg. It's in the Second Empire Beaux-Arts style. You can see it's sort of a Victorian explosion of all kinds of decorative elements, porticos, mansard roof, terracotta, the limestone base, Doric columns, all sorts of things, pediments, balconies, and those brown dormer windows, which is sort of a trademark of the Willard. Now, there are many historic events that happen here in the Willard Hotel, many historic residents. Julia Ward Howe wrote the Battle Hymn of the Republic in one of the rooms. Are you familiar with that song? She was sitting in her room in 1861 when there was no air conditioning, so the window was open, and she heard the Union soldiers singing John Brown's Body as they marched underneath the window. So that immediately inspired her to write the Battle Hymn of the Republic in her room at the Willard. And then also in 1861, Abraham Lincoln had just been elected president, and already there were assassination threats on his life. So the great detective Allan Pinkerton persuaded the Lincolns to move into the Willard Hotel 2 weeks before the inauguration, where they would be in relative safety. So they did move in there, they had meetings, they lived there for 2 weeks. And then when Abraham Lincoln moved to the White House, he paid his Willard Hotel bill with his first paycheck. It was $700. And then almost 100 years later, Martin Luther King was staying in the Willard Hotel in 1963. He wrote his famous I Have a Dream speech. He was here for the Freedom March, and he wrote his I Have a Dream speech in one of the rooms at the Willard. That's the address he gave at the Lincoln Memorial on that wonderful day in August 1963. Now we've had other people staying here who are, Calvin Coolidge lived here for a month after President Harding died. He gave Mrs. Harding a month to move out. So there's the interior of the hotel is just wonderful. You should go in and have a look at the Peacock Alley, the Round Robin Bar, the beautiful marble, and it's a wonderful place to have a drink. Are there any questions?
How much does it cost to stay in the hotel?
Well, if you wanted to stay tonight, I looked on the website. They have a room for $700. If you would like a little fancier room, they've got 3 available for $900. Now, if you need a suite, there's one available. It has no view, but you can get it for $1,200. But if you need a view, if you must have a view, you can get it for $1,450. And if you really want to push the boat out and stay in the presidential suite, only $4,100 for tonight.
Breakfast is included?
No, I don't believe breakfast. Probably in the presidential suite, but not the others. So rush in and book a room and have a drink in the bar. It's a wonderful hotel.
Hi, my name is Helen, and I'd like to welcome you to the District Building in DC. And right behind me I have Boss Shepherd. He was born in 1835 and died in 1902, and he's actually one of the very first natives of Washington, D.C. to be recognized and given his own statue in the district. He's a very controversial figure. He did a lot of great things for our city, but he also was not a great financier. Does anybody know anything about him that they can tell me?
I'm Susan. I want to welcome you to Federal Triangle and to the newest building in Federal Triangle, the last one to be built. It's the Ronald Reagan Building and International Trade Center. There's an entrance on 14th Street to my left and an entrance on 12th Street. So the building actually runs for 2 blocks underground where we're standing, and then of course in the circular areas around us. Now it is the second largest federal government building. The largest is the Pentagon, and this is the second largest, but it doesn't have the massive feeling because of the curves and the open spaces. That was James Ingo Free, the architect, did that on purpose so it wouldn't feel overwhelmingly massive.